Manchester United are doing something that us fans have wanted them to do for a while, and that is just be organised, have plans, have ambitions, and make sure you know what we need. Now, we started, discussing earlier today about the youngster that Manchester United has signed, and they might be signing another young player, which is a great start to find some of the best youth players. But at the end of the day, if you sign all these great young players, but there's an unstable, not very good first team for them to learn from, they're not going to develop and we're not going to create the right environment for those young players. Now, the good thing is that Manchester United are already working and planning ahead of 2026 transfers for the first team. Amorim wants a new wing-back, Manchester United want two midfielders, and Manchester United want to beat out the likes of Liverpool and Tottenham that will be looking for a midfielder by doing the groundwork early in the DM market. There has been links to Harry Kane, there has been links to a number of players, and Manchester United are already making plans ahead of next season, and we're going to talk about that. Also, if we get time in today's 10-minute roundup, we will talk about Kobbie Mainoo, who's working very hard, and there's some rumours that Mazraoui could be injured. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to your 10-minute Manchester United news, transfer news, and update roundup show. If you're new to the channel, every evening I do a 10-minute video rounding up all the latest Manchester United news, topics, and things that you need to know into 10 minutes for you guys. Let's dive into it. So starting with the first bit of news, and we won't spend more than 30 seconds on this because we discussed it a lot earlier, but Manchester United have signed a young midfielder from Colombia, Christian Osoko. His move is going to be about $1 million, which is about 750k. He's the captain of the under-17 Colombia team. He's a good midfielder. He's very highly rated. I'm not going to act like I watched this guy play or that I know this player, but Christopher Vivil's been leading the recruitment here. He's very highly rated in Colombia, and it's one of those where, like, you can join Sekou Kone. It might work, it might not work. If it works, you could be saving 70, 80 million pounds. He might be all right, and we might sell him for 20, 30 million pounds, or he might never even play for us. But we did recruitment in Europe in the past with Alvaro and Garnacho, and we sold Alvaro on the cheap. We got 40 million for Garnacho, and then there was Gerardo, who we didn't make any money from. So it's one of those. But look, I'm happy we're doing business. We're signing good young players, Enzo Canabiak, Diego Leon, but not someone I expect to be in and around the first team for a good year or so. No, sorry, a good 3 years or so. So let's talk about what Manchester United are doing, what's so good about this, and the news on this. So, Man United's long-term planning is already in motion. The youth signings, there's work being done ahead of next summer. They're already working on their main targets ahead of next summer because they know there's going to be a lot of competition in the midfield market from the likes of Liverpool, from the likes of Tottenham. They've done the groundwork on Baleba. They've got a verbal agreement with Baleba. They're looking at wing-backs. They're looking at second midfield signings to bring in on top of Baleba if they can get Baleba. And they're planning summer 2026 9 months early, looking to even potentially spend some funds in January if they can get those players they want in the summer in January. Now, this is something that fans have wanted for years. I think one thing we've done in the past is ignore the January window. Another thing we've done in the past is ignore the South American gems. Look at Moises Caicedo, which also could have been a January window addition. And the other thing is, I feel like we go into the summer window unorganised. I think this summer we actually went in quite organised. We got Mateus Cunha done early. The plan was to get Mbeumo. It obviously got dragged on. Wanted Delap, obviously didn't get him, but we went in quite organised. And United are already going into 2026 organised, hopefully. I mean, will they follow through? Let's see. So, Ben Jacobs was on the United stand today, and he gave some updates on United's plans ahead of 2026. Make sure you go check out the full video on the United stand YouTube channel, because Ben Jacobs mentioned a lot, but I'm going to mention 3 or 4 things that he mentioned. And one of the things he mentioned was signing a wing-back is priority for Amorim, but the recruitment team believe it can wait. I don't think Amorim is rating Dorgu that highly, or even Ahmad that highly. Delo isn't a wing-back, Mazraoui isn't a wing-back. I do think, like, if we played a back 4 with Dorgu left back and Mazraoui right back, I just feel like that's so much better for those 2 players. A back 4 with De Ligt, Yoro, Dorgu, Mazraoui really good. You can have Ahmad left wing, Cunha up top and Boom on the right, or you can have Sesko up top, Cunha on the left and Boom on the right. Ahmad to come off the bench with a bit of pace and a bit of, good footwork. I do feel that we are better suited to a back 4 right now. And Amorim wants to play back 5. He's going to continue to play back 5. And wing-backs are important at that, because Dorgu does a lot in ball progression. I don't think people realise how much Dorgu does in ball progression, how good he is at that. But his crossing's letting him down. The low's got a good technical ability, but his crossing let him down. We're not putting good crosses in to Sesko. And Sesko's massive. Like, it doesn't even have to be an amazing cross. It just needs to be a half decent cross, and Sesko will get that. And we're not doing that. So I understand why Amorim wants a wing back. I look at it, and if I'm going to be totally honest, Semenyo. I know he can play as a 10, he can play as a wing back. I'd go Semenyo, I'd go Wharton, I'd go Baleba. They're the three players I would get. Now, I think United's priority will be two midfielders, see how Lemens does, and then they'll look at wing backs, and then they might look at centre backs for depth if we're in Europe next year, and see how Sesko does. I think a lot of it will depend on how Sesko and Lemens does our plans, but I can see why Amorim wants a wing back. Now, I do like Dorgan. I think he could have a good season. But the priority is midfield, and Ben Jacobs said he thinks there's a strong possibility that two midfielders can come in. Wharton and Baleba, please. Wharton gives you everything you want on the ball, Baleba gives you everything you want off the ball. They complement each other well. If you miss out on one of those, or the price is ridiculous, we try for Elliot Anderson, who's a good player. Now, interestingly, Ben Jacobs said there's a gentleman's agreement for Adam Wharton to leave Crystal Palace next summer. That'll be one to watch. Obviously, we've done the groundwork on Baleba. We're trying to get Baleba done. There's even rumours that we could get Baleba done in January with his form at Brighton dropping off. Brighton could be eager to sell in January. Do we want Baleba if he's been in crap form for 3 months? That is the question. But if it takes the price tag down to like 70 million, something reasonable, I think you risk it. And then maybe in the summer you go for someone like Adam Wharton. Something tells me Adam Wharton will be going to Liverpool, if I'm going to be completely honest, or Chelsea, or even Real Madrid. You never know. Real Madrid, I've had links to him. But there's a gentleman's agreement there, and there's sort of rumours that obviously was on the groundwork on Baleba, tried to get verbal agreement there, but we're trying to work on Adam Wharton. There's rumours that United will be there, and whether United will win the race is yet to be seen. But United are going to do what they can to win the race, and this was said by Mike McGrath, who's a good journalist. Man United are ready to lead the way next summer in the race for a number six midfielder. Elliot Anderson, Baleba and Wharton are among deep-lying playmakers expected to be in high demand from major European clubs, with Baleba valued over 100 million. Brighton aren't going to go over 100 million unless Baleba starts playing well. But realistically, yeah, United want to lead the race for a number six. There's a lot of talk that United are trying to do the groundwork, trying to make sure they're ahead of rivals in the race for a number six. They know how important it is to sign a number six, and, they want to get that done. And hopefully we do that. Hopefully we are smart. We're signing number sixes for the future, and Kone and this Christian guy from Colombia, but we need some ready-made sixes. And, talking of six, Kobbie Mainoo could potentially be a six. He's really working on his game, and we might talk about that in a minute. But one thing I'd like to see at United is we've done what we've done to Højlund, to Sesko. We've got Sesko in, and no experienced striker for him to learn from. Cunha he can learn from, Xerxes he can learn from, but none of them are out-and-out strikers. It'd be nice if you had Kane and Højlund, or Kane and Sesko. And we spoke about it the other day, how Harry Kane could be available. And I said, look, Harry Kane, he might be old, and he might not fully suit Amorim's system, and he might not be this quick and this, that. But Harry Kane is such an elite level player that you just know, even if you get 2 seasons out of him, like Robin van Persie, you're going to get 2 top level seasons. And by the time he leaves, Sesko would be ready, or Sesko would have learned a lot. Harry Kane has played 7 games this season and got 16 goal contributions already. And to put that into context of his 16 goal contributions, he's played 600 minutes and got 16 goal contributions. He's averaging a goal contribution nearly like every 45 minutes, which is crazy when you think of it. I think he's averaging a goal every 46 minutes. So if you're looking goal contributions, he's having goal contribution every 40 minutes this season. Of course, that is the Bundesliga. Of course, that's Bundesliga tax. But I'm not against spending 50 million on Harry Kane, even at his age, at 32, because I just think if you can get 2 elite seasons out of him, this is a guy that got 41 goals last season and 14 assists. He, averages more than a goal contribution in the game. Should have finished higher in the Ballon d'Or. He's Premier League proven. I'm not totally against Harry Kane coming to United for 2 seasons, and it could happen. Ben Jacobs was asked if there's anything in a Harry Kane to United links, and he said, I think there is. I'm not going to get anyone too excited so early, but Kane has this release clause that is 65 million euros, I think is 55 million pounds, and to my knowledge, after the World Cup, there's a realistic chance that Kane returns. I'd like to get him for less than 50 million because of his age, because midfield is priority. But all I'm saying is, if we got Semenyo, Baleba, Wharton, let's say Lemens is really good, so we don't need a goalkeeper. Semenyo can always play wing back. I think he could play wing back in the system. I think the wing back needs to be more attacking. And Sesko struggled a bit. Put 50 million bid on Kane. He wants to come back to the Premier League. Yes, he doesn't fully suit Amorim's system, but he's such a good player. You'd almost hope that Amorim would adapt the system for 2 years to get the best out of Kane. And then when Kane leaves, go elsewhere. Because people say, but this is Amorim's system. There's no point bringing players into Amorim's system. Pep adapts his system when Marmoush came in. The best managers have their systems, but they adapt when certain players come in to get the best out of those players. Pep has had 4 or 5 systems at City. Klopp's had 3 or 4 systems at Liverpool. Amorim keeps wanting to do the same system, over and over again. But I do sometimes think, could you adapt to Bruno? Could you adapt to Maino? Could you adapt? You would have to adapt to Harry Kane. Anyway, I was going to talk about Maino, but I want to keep this video under 11 minutes, so I'll talk about Maino in my live stream tomorrow, but it's basically about him working really hard. And then there is rumours of Mazraoui being injured. Samuel Lucas did mention that Mazraoui was not visible in the training imagery or footage, so Amorim will give an update on his fitness tomorrow and maybe why he was not involved. Anyway, thank you for watching today's 10-minute roundup. Let me know your thoughts down below. See you next time. Bye.